What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Rashid White Show. And today we have another video on the New York City mayoral race between Eric Adams and Mr. Curtis Sewell himself. All right, so as you know, these two candidates are actually running for the mayor. And the first thing that actually strikes me, this is probably going to be for a separate video right here, is Eric Adams as a black man running as a Democrat. I can go into the whole history of the Democrats and how they are not for black people. They actually voted to have they passed the first gun laws, as a matter of fact, to make it to where black people couldn't actually own guns. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on and on and on, but I just don't understand, for the likes of me, why would he run as a Democrat? All right, let's get into this.
Let me formally introduce you. First, the Democratic nominee, Eric Adams, who is now the borough president of Nation. It was declared unconstitutional because it targeted. Thank you, Bill. We are kind of far apart, so if you can't hear me, I can certainly speak up. So just let me know if you can't hear me.
I can hear you fine.
Mr. Adams, during the pandemic, we've seen an alarming uptick in shootings and murders. You have said in the past that you think stop and frisk, or as you say, stop, question, and frisk, can at times be an effective tool. But of course, as we saw it used during the Bloomberg administration, it was declared unconstitutional because it targeted young black and brown men. My question to you is, can you give me an example of when and how you think stop, question, and frisk can be an effective tool?
Yes, thank you. And when you talk about those young men who were stopped, one of them was actually my son. He was stopped, he was questioned, he even identified and stated that my dad is a state senator, and it didn't matter, and it traumatized him until today. I watch his face every time a car drives by. Here's the way.
All right, I'm gonna try not to curse on this one. I'm trying to keep this a family-friendly show here. But dude, shut the fuck up. I got stopped and frisked before, and I'm not traumatized, and I wasn't worried because I wasn't doing anything wrong. I think it only happened to me a couple of times, and I'm not traumatized. Oh, I see a cop and oh! Jesus Christ, man. Please stop.
Correctly, the plan that I'm going to implement. Number one, you call someone and state that there's a person in front of my home carrying a gun. I saw it in his waistband. The police officer that responds, he has an obligation to stop this person, question this person, and if it escalates to another level, then he can frisk this person. That's the proper use. That is not what we were doing in the city. In this city, we had a predetermined number that we were telling officers to do every day, and they were targeting black and brown communities. That is an abuse of a tool. A tool that's abused is no...
It's not an abuse. Listen, there's a profile. They make it seem like it's racial profiling. Unfortunately, as we can witness this stuff on video, there's surveillance cameras, all over this country. It's everywhere. You can't even turn the corner without there being a surveillance camera. The blacks are the ones, and I'm black, they're committing the most crimes, you listen to rap music. They brag about committing crimes. They got them on video. I seen a whole bunch of stuff on WorldStar. Black people committing crimes. Now, you see some whites in there too, but the high majority are, unfortunately, black people. I don't know why that is, but it is.
Longer tool, it's a weapon.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Sliwa, do you disagree?
I must tell you, it's amazing that my opponent, Eric Adams, just this morning on the Breakfast Club said that he had met with gang leaders with bodies, Eric.
Ooh.
That means gang leaders who killed, and gang leaders who killed awaiting trial. Did you stop, question, and frisk them? Did you report that to the police? Could you tell us who those gang leaders were that you met with and which gangs? I think the public has a right to know for someone who declares himself to be the law and order candidate. Did you do that, Eric?
And the guy, he's smiling. He's smirking. He think this is a effing joke here, man. And yes, he did. I mean, his body language actually says it all. And why are you meeting with them? That's a damn good question. What, you want to go arrest them? Meeting them for what? If they're committing crimes, you arrest them.
I think our question is, where is an example? What kind of an example would you see, Mr. Sliwa, where stop and frisk should
Well, that's
be
a
used?
perfect example.
And
No gang
I'll follow up and ask Mr. Adams his response to what you said about
known gang members. Those are the people you're going to stop and frisk because they're the ones in retaliatory shootings and drive-bys that are causing people to have to live in solitary confinement in their neighborhoods.
Mr. Adams, do you care to respond to what you said this morning about meeting with gang members?
Oh, yes, it's so important. And let's be clear, there's only one candidate on this stage that actually faked crimes. We need to be clear on that. While I was protecting people in the city, this candidate on the other side was faking crimes. Here's what I'm doing.
Answer the question.
Public safety is intervention and prevention. Intervention is right now. I'm speaking to those who have committed crimes to get them out of gangs and tell them what are the pathways, what are the issues. You can find and learn so much on those who commit crimes. Like I spoke to the men and women, or the men at Rikers Island when I went to visit there. It's time for us to find out what is causing the violence, as well as being intervention and addressing that violence.
You know what's Jesus Christ. You know what's actually causing all the violence. What are you talking about? It's time to find out. That is such a lame ass answer, man. Yeah, this dude is a joke, man. I mean, he's just like another de Blasio clone. And I meant to mention, this is a part one. I'm not going to do this as like an hour and 10-minute debate. This will be a part one, a part two, and probably a part three, depending on the actual topics here.
Right now, I have a comprehensive plan that I discussed of addressing violence and how we're going to target those gang members that are using guns.
Mr. Adams,
Eric Adams, I'm a victim of gang violence. I was shot on the orders of John Gotti Sr. to the Gambino crime family, shot 5 times with hollow point bullets. Would you have sat down with the Gambino crime family and my shooter, Michael Leonardi, and sat down with them and tried to negotiate organized crime peace? That makes no sense at all. You haven't even met with the police unions. And you're meeting with gang leaders who are responsible for bodies. That means they killed people. And you meet with them and not with the police unions?
Let's move on to a related question, I think.
And again, he's smiling. This is all a joke for him. Because he's not going to implement the stuff that he's actually saying. He says, oh, I have a plan. I hear this from a lot of politicians. Oh, I have a plan, but what is your plan? Oh, we're going to stop this. We're going to stop that. We're going to make housing better. Oh, we're going to make whatever. Bring better quality of life. But there's no plan. They say this, but there's no actual real plan in place.
Mayor de Blasio this year disbanded a controversial plainclothes unit, the anti-crime unit, because it was so aggressive. It was involved, of course, in the death of Eric Garner back in 2014. Mr. Adams, you have said that you want to bring that group back of undercover police officers, albeit you have said with many changes. Why do you want it back?
Well, I have a clear plan on public safety, and that fits into my overall plan on public safety. See, patrol is both something that you are acknowledging the officers that are out there and those you don't know that's out there. That's the balance. If you have the right plainclothes anti-gun unit, that unit would target gangs, target those who are using guns. What you do is keep the imbalance and make sure that those officers are doing their jobs correctly. How would I do it? They were, number one, we have the technology. Turn on the cameras. Make sure those cameras remain on so that you see the interaction between police and those who are being identified.
All right, so the cameras have always been on. And yet, you know, your counterpart, what's the word I'm looking for? Your mentor, de Blasio, still trashed him. And you have said nothing. You didn't support the police at all when they were actually trying to do their damn jobs.
That's committing crimes. and have the officers assigned appropriately. Listen, it's about conflict resolution, well-trained officers, not what we did in the past under the street crime unit, the unit that I talked about in federal court when I testified against that abuse.
Mr. Sliwa, do you think that this is a good idea to bring the unit back? 30 seconds.
We've got to keep it real here, because the problem within the NYPD is they've gone from 5,500 detectives down to 3,500. They can't investigate all the cases. So you look in Brooklyn, where Eric Adams is still the borough president, 3 out of 4 of the gang gun cases are not being investigated. There are no arrests that have been made. And Eric, you haven't been at the gang sites. Mother Gaston Boulevard, 5 was shot, drive-by, Brownsville. Roosevelt Homes, 8 was shot. You weren't
Still
there.
think this is a joke. He's smirking.
Shot twice by gangs in Crown Heights. You weren't there. And of all places, Carroll Gardens recently, you were not there for the shooting of that 16-year-old girl. All in Brooklyn, where crime and gang violence has exploded. You haven't done your job, Eric.
We all agree crime has got to stop, and we all want to see it stop. And especially gun crime. Let's move on to another shot. We got a lot to talk about in this 1 hour because this is a complex city. And we're going to start our next round of questionings with Marielle Salgado.
Thank you, Bill. Gentlemen, we're going to talk about education, something of real concern to parents. We'll start with you, Mr. Sliwa. Mayor de Blasio announced plans to phase out gifted and talented program and replace it with something called Brilliant NYC, which is basically a program to train teachers. Focus on teacher training, but the reality is that although the majority of the students of the largest district in the nation are Blacks and Hispanics, their participation is less than a quarter in the program. Do you agree with gifted and talented?
I mean, the whole culture in the Black community and the Hispanic community has to actually change, man. That's not something that you're going to be able to do overnight. And 4 years or 8 years, both parties. That's not gonna really change. Not right away. I'm not saying it can't, but it seems like a lot of these kids don't have any, beliefs in themselves. They come from single parent family homes. I mean, there's a lot of issues that has to be solved first before we can even talk about these kids really, getting back into school. And you got to start from the root of the problem there. All right, we're going to wrap this up for now, man. I don't want to actually keep this really, really too long. Again, this is part 1. It looks like Eric Adams is another de Blasio clone. And if you vote for the man, then, you're going to get the same thing. So I'm not saying that. I liken it to this, Barabbas and Jesus Christ. And I think most of you guys are going to pick Barabbas. I really, honestly, really believe that, because it seems like whoever the media gets behind and pushes is who people actually vote for. They really can't think for themselves. All right. If you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Certainly share this video. When you share, the universe shares with you. Peace.